After 5 minutes in the freezing cold, a little girl's heartwarming act of kindness transforms a community facing despair into a bustling hub of hope and unity. 8-year-old Lily stood outside her family's bakery, determined to sell cups of steaming hot cocoa to anyone who passed by. The sharp winter air nipped at her nose, turning her cheeks rosy red, but she didn't care. Lily knew her cocoa could bring a touch of warmth and happiness to the frostbitten townsfolk of her cozy Midwestern town, and that made it all worth it. With each sip, the rich aroma curled into the air, tempting shoppers and families who hurried past, wrapped in layers of heavy coats and scarves. "Warm cocoa," she called out, her voice bright and cheerful as snowflakes danced in the air around her. Neighbors began to stop for a moment, greeted by her infectious smile. They knew Lily well, her kind spirit had woven her into the fabric of their small community. One chilly afternoon, just when Lily thought her little stand might bring enough money to help her family, a storm brewed on the horizon. As soon as the first flurries began to swirl around, the townsfolk huddled deep into their coats and raced indoors. Lily pushed through, determined to keep going until someone told her to stop. But on that day, another crisis unfolded in her beloved town. Mr. Johnson, the kind-hearted owner of the local market, had his head hung low as he faced the reality of shuttering his store. The bills piled up like the snow outside, sales had tanked. Everyone knew him as the veteran who always lent a hand, and the thought of losing him weighed heavily on the neighborhood. Watching this unfold, Lily felt her heart ache. She thought of all those families, those parents struggling just to put food on the table. "I'll give away my cocoa," she declared boldly. What started as a plan to sell treats transformed into a mission to make sure everyone could enjoy warmth on that blustery day. With each cup she handed out, her heart soared a bit higher, believing she was making a difference. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Yet, unbeknownst to her, each cup given away pressed harder on her parents' shoulders. As her mother fretted over bills and her father's worried frown deepened, tensions grew within the warmth of their bakery. Torn between her love for her family and her desire to light up others' lives, Lily wrestled with heavy choices. Outside, the storm raged on. And as Lily stood bravely, offering more cups of cocoa than ever before, she unwittingly sparked a movement within her community. As people realized what was happening, they rallied around Mr. Johnson. But could they truly unite and support one another when faced with deeper struggles? The chill in the air faded, yet the warmth shared in those tiny cups began to generate waves of kindness that might heal the fractures lurking between neighbors. But what remained to be seen was whether Lily's selfless act of compassion could hold together a town swirling in overwhelming challenges, or if their divided priorities would pull them apart when they needed each other most. The real question loomed: how could an 8-year-old girl with a heart full of hope inspire a town toward resilience in the face of adversity? The wind howled, swirling snowflakes into the air like dancers caught in a whirlwind. Lily felt the cold seep into her bones, but she stayed strong, her small frame wrapped in her mother's oversized scarf. As each cup of cocoa disappeared from her table, she could see more smiles spread across her neighbors' faces. Some even lingered for a moment, sharing stories and laughter that cut through the storm outside, yet, not everyone was smiling. From across the street, Lily spotted Mr. Johnson peering out of his market, his eyes clouded with worry. The warm chatter of her friends and neighbors was drowned out by the unsettling silence surrounding the market's doors. Determined to help him, Lily called out, "Mr. Johnson. You can have some cocoa too." She waved her cup high, hoping to draw him out of his funk. He looked up, and for a moment, their eyes locked. Just then, she spotted Mrs. Green, a frazzled mother struggling to keep her 2 young kids bundled against the cold. "Miss Lily," she called, "that cocoa smells amazing. May I? The woman approached, her face brightening at the thought of hot cocoa. Of course. It's free today. Everyone can have some. Lily replied, her voice bubbling with enthusiasm. The line of townsfolk began to grow, and she hurried to pour for Mrs. Green and her children. There was something magical about witnessing people come together, sharing warmth and laughter like they used to before the town was weighed down by worry. As Lily poured and handed out steaming cups, her heart sang with joy. Could this simple act really bring unity? It felt like something more than cocoa was being shared. It was hope, friendship, resilience. But as the crowd thinned a bit, she noticed her mother standing behind the bakery window, her expression caught between pride and concern. Lily felt a pang of guilt. Her mother joined her, bending down to whisper, "Sweetheart, we need to talk. What you're doing is beautiful, but it can't be at the cost of our home." Lily nodded, but the passion to help others bubbled up inside her. "But Mom, if I can help even one family see a smile, isn't it worth it?" But before her mother could respond, a large figure stepped into view. Mr. Johnson, his shoulders hunched but determined. "Lily, I see what you're doing for this town," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "You are wonderful. But we mustn't forget that we all have to care for one another." Lily's eyes widened as he continued. "I have an idea. How about we organize a market day? Together, we can bring everyone out and create a place for sharing and supporting our local businesses, not just mine." Excitement danced in the air. She felt a surge of energy pulse through her. They could really do something together. "Yes, let us do it," she exclaimed, her heart swelling. But then doubt crept in. What if no one showed up? What if the weather was too much? That spark of uncertainty brushed against the joy inside her. Here was the opportunity to create hope, but would the town rise to the challenge or crumble under pressure? As the first stars peeked out behind the dark clouds, Lily turned to look at her friends and neighbors who were now mingling, all feeling the same sense of possibility. Maybe a local market was what they needed, their very own heartwarming beacon of hope in the middle of winter. The thought buzzed through her mind. How would they pull it off? Little did she know, that night in the cozy bakery, around the kitchen table, seeds were being planted for a town revival. But as dreams of a market danced in her head, Lily was left to wonder. Could they all come together in time to save their beloved community from the brink of despair? Town on the edge of despair. The following morning, the sun rose weakly behind a curtain of clouds, casting a muted glow over the snowy streets. The wind had calmed, leaving a quiet stillness that seemed heavy with possibility. Lily awoke with a flutter of excitement in her chest. Today was the day she would gather everyone to bring their market idea to life. She dressed quickly, her mother's scarf wrapped tightly around her neck, a soft reminder of her support. In the bakery, the scents of fresh bread and warm pastries filled the air. Her mother was already hard at work, kneading dough with a focused expression. "Mom, can we put a sign in the window about the market?" Lily asked, her voice bright with enthusiasm. Her mother paused, wiping her hands on her apron. "I believe that's a wonderful idea, sweetheart. But remember, it's important to spread the word in person too. We need to connect with everyone." Lily nodded, determination flooding her veins. They could use some good news, a reminder that they were all in this together. The thought of grabbing her friends and approaching people one by one sent butterflies dancing in her stomach. She and her mother worked together, designing a colorful sign that declared, "Market Day. Let us come together as a town." With the sign ready, Lily set out into the brisk morning, her heart racing. She passed by Mr. Johnson's market first, hoping to catch him before he opened. The door creaked as she entered. Mr. Johnson looked up, his frown melting away as he saw her bright smile. "Lily. You're up early," he said, adjusting his glasses. "Mr. Johnson, we're doing it. A market day. We want everyone to come together, and I thought you'd want to help." She could barely contain her excitement, her words tumbling out one after the other. He chuckled, his eyes lighting with interest. Count me in. Fresh produce will be our first contribution. Next, she dashed to see Mrs. Green and her little ones, turning in circles as they played hide-and-seek in the snow. Mrs. Green. Let us make crafts for the market. It'll be fun, and we'll be helping out so many families. Mrs. Green smiled fondly. You have a big heart, Lily. We'd love to help. With every door she knocked on, smiles and commitments began pouring in. The excitement was electric. She heard the baker say he'd donate bread, a seamstress offering handmade scarves, and even Mr. Thompson, the grumpy old man who usually kept to himself, agreed to sell warm soup. But as the day wore on, doubt began to creep in again. What if no one showed up? What if people didn't care? Just then, she spotted her mother across the street, holding the sign they had made, raising it high for all to see. The sight grounded her. Lily couldn't let fear choke out the hope they had ignited together. As she returned home that evening, she felt lighter, despite the weight of the day still resting on her shoulders. She rushed to share her growing list of participants with her mother, but that evening, as the sun dipped low painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, another shadow lurked in the corner of her mind. What if something goes wrong? She whispered to herself, clutching the scarf tighter around her. Shaky breath lingered on her lips as she thought about the details that still loomed ahead. Would they really find a way to ensure everyone felt included? In her heart, she hoped not just for herself, but for the myriad of neighbors who had once been her family. Tomorrow would be the day to find out. But tonight was for dreaming and hoping. Would they come together to revive their town, or would the weight of uncertainty pull them apart just when they needed to stand as one? Lily woke early the next morning, the soft light filtering through her window like a warm embrace. Today was the day. Today felt different. She could almost hear the whispers of hope echoing in the town. With renewed determination, she dressed quickly and raced down the stairs, her heart pounding with excitement. At the bakery, the sweet scent of cinnamon rolls filled the air, mingling with the comforting aroma of toasting bread. Her mother greeted her with a soft smile, her hands covered in flour as she prepared for the day. Ready to take on the world? She asked, giggling as a puff of flour dusted the air. More like ready to take on the market. Lily replied, her eyes sparkling. I think we should start by going over the plan again. I want to make sure we don't miss anything. Together, they laid out the details. They would meet everyone at the park near the old oak tree, where the market would come alive. It would be a community gathering, a chance for people to share and connect, but most importantly, to feel like they belonged. With the sun finally breaking through the morning clouds, Lily donned her mother's scarf once more, stepping out into the cold. For the first time in weeks, she felt hopeful. As she walked to the park, she noticed a few neighbors peeking outside their windows, curiosity written all over their faces. It was time to rally them together. Just as her heart soared, it sunk. She spotted Molly, a little girl from her school, sitting on the curb, tears streaming down her cheeks. Without hesitation, Lily approached. Molly. What's wrong? Molly's sniffles broke Lily's heart. My dad lost his job, we can't afford new boots for winter. I wanted to go to the market, but I can't walk in these, she said, gesturing to her worn-out shoes that were barely holding together. Lily's chest tightened with emotion. You know what? We've got to help each other. Come on, let us see if we can't fix this. She took Molly's cold hands in hers and led her back to the bakery. Mom! We need to help. Lily exclaimed as they entered. Her mother looked surprised but nodded instantly. Absolutely, my sweet girl. Let us find a way to make this work. They rummaged through the storage at the back of the bakery, unearthing a pair of bright red boots that had been left behind. These are a bit big, but they'll keep your feet warm, Lily said, smiling brightly as she handed them to Molly. They'll be perfect for the market. Molly's eyes widened, and she hugged Lily tightly. Thank you, she exclaimed, her grin infectious. I can't wait to go. The two of them rushed out, hand in hand. As they made their way to the park, more children joined them, curious about what was happening. Lily felt a surge of joy. People were starting to gather, the whispers of excitement becoming louder. The park was transforming. Balloon decorations filled the branches of the oak tree, and tables were being set up with homemade goodies, crafts, and produce. Mr. Johnson was already tossing vegetables into crates. Best of all, laughter skittered through the air, wrapping everyone in a warm embrace, but looming behind the joyous mirth was a twinge of anxiety. Would there really be enough? Would everyone feel included? Just as the day began, a loud crash echoed through the park. Everyone turned, their smiles quickly fading. A truck had backed into one of the tables, sending jars of homemade jam tumbling to the ground, splattering everywhere. Lily's heart raced. This was not how she envisioned the day going. Would it all fall apart now? Gathering her courage, she stepped forward, her voice trembling slightly as she called out, "We all came here to help each other. Let us show everyone what this community really stands for." But would it be enough to pull them through the chaos? Would they band together in solidarity, or would doubt overshadow their efforts just when they needed strength the most? Crisis into hope. As Lily's voice rang out, something shifted in the air. A woman stepped forward, an older neighbor named Mrs. Thompson, known for her kindness and no-nonsense attitude. With determination etched on her face, she picked up a jar of jam from the ground, examining the shards of glass strewn about. "All right, everyone. Let us pitch in," she called, her voice a rallying cry that sliced through the tension. Others began to move, hands reaching for the scattered jars and supplies. A teenage boy, Alex, who usually kept to himself, rushed over, offering to help gather the broken pieces. A few parents joined in, forming a small assembly line to clean up the mess. Lily watched as Molly dashed to help, her bright red boots contrasting against the brown earth. It filled Lily with warmth to see Molly so joyful, even amid the chaos. She squeezed her mother's hand. "Look, Mom. They're working together." Her mother smiled back, pride evident in her eyes. "Sometimes, we find our strength in the hardest moments." With the cleanup underway, Mr. Johnson took the lead on setting up a new table. "I think we can turn this into a game," he exclaimed, laughter in his voice. "Whoever can stack the jars back the fastest gets a free loaf of bread." Cheers erupted, laughter soon filling the empty spaces where alarm had crept in. The energy in the park shifted from despair to camaraderie. It was as if the incident had ignited a flicker of unity among everyone there. Kids laughed, squealing as they scrambled to pack the preserved goodies safely. Adults shared stories, smiles spreading like wildfire among neighbors as the market took shape around them, while the others busied themselves. A small girl approached Lily, her blonde hair swirling in the light breeze. "Can I help?" she asked softly, her eyes wide and earnest. "Of course," Lily replied, her heart swelling. Together, they worked to arrange the remaining jars, side by side, like little soldiers standing proud on a table. "Why are you doing this?" the girl asked, her brow furrowed as she neatly lined up the jars. "I mean, everyone is helping, but why did you want to make it happen?" Lily paused, taking a breath. "Because every little thing matters. We're stronger together and we can't leave anyone behind. I just want everyone to feel happy, like we can be a family here," she said. The girl smiled and nodded. "My mom always says that. She says we help each other to be stronger." Just then, Mrs. Thompson returned with a fresh pitcher of lemonade in hand. "Who wants lemonade?" she shouted, her laughter infectious. The noise of joy bounced through the park, filling the empty spaces around the old oak tree. As the day went on, people swarmed the tables, exchanging goods, laughter, and stories, the market now a living tapestry of connections weaving together their community. But amidst all the merriment, Lily felt a whisper of doubt curl back in again. She couldn't shake the feeling that there were still unturned stones, unmet needs lingering underneath the smiles, and as she caught sight of a familiar figure lingering at the edge of the park, her heart sank. He looked troubled, standing apart from the celebration. What was he waiting for? Would he step forward and join them, or would he stay outside this moment of joy? Lily knew she had one more task ahead of her, one more heart to reach for, to ensure that nobody felt alone on this day of togetherness. With determination flooding through her veins, she took a step forward. Would she have the courage to face him and invite him in? Lily's heart raced as she crossed the grass, each step fueled by a mix of apprehension and hope. The familiar figure didn't seem to notice her at first. He stood on the outer fringes of the gathering with his hands shoved deep into his pockets, his shoulders hunched against an invisible chill. Jacob had always been a quiet boy, often overlooked, but today he looked lost, almost fragile against the backdrop of laughter and joy. "Hey, Jacob!" Lily called softly, her voice steadying as she approached him. When he turned to meet her gaze, she was taken aback by the sadness in his eyes. "Hi," he muttered, barely above a whisper. "I saw you over here," she said gently, "we're all having a great time. Would you like to join us? There's lemonade, and I think Mrs. Thompson even brought cookies." He shook his head, a shadow falling over him. "I don't know. I don't fit in like you guys do." The vulnerability in his words tugged at Lily's heart, the unease in his voice echoing the loneliness she had once felt in her own life. "Everyone fits in when they feel welcomed," she replied, stepping closer to him, her voice infused with warmth. "We're all different, but today, we're celebrating what makes us a community. You don't have to do this alone." He shifted, looking past her toward the playground. Children were laughing freely, engaging with games, their energy magnetic. But the happiness wavering just at the boundary was almost too bright for Jacob to acknowledge. "What if they don't want me there?" he asked, his voice trembling as if he were teetering on the edge of stepping away. Lily felt a familiar ache, remembering her own encounters with unease before. "Then we make sure they do," she said, lifting her chin in determination. "If we can be brave together, they'll see just how important you are. You don't have to face this alone." Jacob glanced back at the celebration, uncertainty etched on his face. For a fleeting moment, Lily saw a flicker of hope in his eyes. It was the same spark she had felt growing within her, a belief that everyone deserved connection, warmth, and care. "Come on," she urged, reaching out her hand. "Let's clean up together and then grab some lemonade. You might even win a free loaf of bread. I heard they're delicious." He hesitated. The gap between them felt vast, but Lily's inviting smile, sincere and full of possibility, slowly bridged that distance. "Okay," he finally said, taking a step toward her, the shadows around him starting to dissolve. Together, they walked back to the gathering, their footsteps in sync. As they arrived, a cheer erupted, breaking like waves against the shore. Friends shouted Jacob's name, voices warm and inviting, wrapping him in a comforting embrace. It was as if the moment itself recognized him, with laughter echoing in the air. The realization hit Lily that sometimes it just took one small act of kindness to turn hesitation into courage. Setbacks melted away like morning frost under the sun's gaze, but then, in the midst of the joy, Lily noticed a small group of older kids whispering at the far end of the park, their bodies turned away from the others, glancing at Jacob with mischievous intent. A knot of tension gripped her heart. Would they welcome him, or would they tear the fragile fabric of connection that was only just being sewn together? Each heartbeat pounded louder, a drum beckoning her to take action now. What would she do? Would she brave that threshold and show Jacob that this was where he belonged? Lily felt her heart quicken as she caught a glimpse of Jacob, surrounded by warmth and laughter, the cheers floating around him like a fresh wind. But her eyes were glued to the group of older kids, their whispers carrying an air of mischief that felt like a storm brewing. "Hey, you guys!" Lily called, setting herself into motion. With each step, she reminded herself of the importance of connection, how it could pull someone from the shadows into the light. "Why don't we all take a moment to welcome Jacob? He's just joined us." The group turned, their faces a mix of surprise and confusion. "What's the point? One of them scoffed, arms crossed defiantly. He never hangs out with us. Why should he now? Because everyone deserves a chance. Lily shot back, her voice rising boldly, fueled by a desire to protect Jacob. She could feel Jacob shrinking slightly behind her, but she stood tall, held firm by her conviction. Today's about community. Let us show him what that really means. A tense silence enveloped them, punctured only by the distant laughter of the others. The collective gaze of the older kid stayed on Jacob, who seemed to shrink further into his own skin. Lily watched as uncertainty flickered across his face, a small flame almost extinguished, and her heart ached for him. "Simon, let us play a game," another kid finally grumbled, a hint of reluctance coloring his words. "It's not like he's a total loser. He just doesn't really talk to anyone." Lily's heart jumped. "Exactly. Let us change that. We can all play together." She flashed a smile at Jacob, urging him forward. "What do you like to play?" Slowly, his expression shifted. A shadow of uncertainty lingered, but for the first time, a small spark of excitement began to light his features. "I like soccer," he said quietly, hope weaving through the threads of his voice. "Soccer it is," Lily announced, clapping her hands together. "Let us grab the ball from Mrs. Thompson's collection. Everyone can join. Jacob, how about you lead?" As she invited Jacob to take the first step, she noticed the group of older kids glance at one another, the resolve in their expressions wavering. Maybe, just maybe, they were beginning to reconsider. "I'm not sure." Jacob hesitated, his gaze flitting from Lily's encouraging smile to the group. But deep down, he could feel the delicate bond they were beginning to forge. Perhaps this was his moment to let go of the doubts that had clung to him for so long. "You've got this." Lily cheered, her enthusiasm ringing through the air. "You're not alone anymore." With a deep breath, Jacob stepped forward. "Okay. I'll lead," he said, his voice growing stronger, fueled by the support surrounding him. He took a few tentative steps toward the grassy field, now alive with energy and laughter. Cheers erupted as he picked up the ball, passing it to one of the hesitant older kids. It felt like the first rays of sunlight breaking through a cloudy sky. And in that moment, as they began to run and laugh, Lily couldn't help but feel that they were building something beautiful together. But, just as the game picked up momentum, Lily caught sight of one of the older boys, lingering on the sidelines with a sneer, distance growing between them like an unbridged gulf. Would this moment last? Was their newfound connection strong enough to withstand the weight of old judgments? The game continued, but worry tinged Lily's heart as she turned back to Jacob, who was lost in the joy of the moment. Would their bursting happiness be enough to face what lay ahead? With the laughter rising, she knew something had shifted. But as tension began to weave into the fabric of the gathering, Lily felt her unease deepen. What would happen when they all returned to reality? Would Jacob remain embraced by this joy, or would he be pulled back into the shadows once more? The laughter and shouts of excitement echoed across the grassy field, creating a vibrant atmosphere that felt almost electric. Jacob, ball at his feet, found his rhythm. He dashed from one side to the other, his shy demeanor melting in the warmth of newfound friendship. The older kids, though initially skeptical, clapped and cheered as he started to play. "Great pass, Jacob." One of them shouted, and Jacob beamed, his confidence growing with each kind word. His heart raced not from fear, but from happiness. Yet, amid the joy, Lily couldn't shake the feeling that the storm the old group came from wasn't merely dispersed. It was lurking, waiting for the right moment to unleash its fury. The boy behind the sidelines, Sam, she recalled, still wore that sneer, arms crossed defiantly. His eyes were trained on Jacob, tracking every move, ready for the slightest misstep, but Lily refused to linger on fear. She encouraged the others, calling for more participation. "Let us form 2 teams. Everyone can play." As the kids grouped together, Jacob caught Lily's eye. She mouthed, "You've got this." He returned her smile, a glance that became their silent promise to keep fighting the doubts, the teasing, and the distance. But her heart still trembled with uncertainty. The game escalated. The ball zipped between players, laughter mingling with shouts of encouragement. Jacob scored a goal, and the cheers seemed to drown out all negativity. For a moment, it was pure magic, a cherished memory forming right before her eyes. Yet, Lily noticed Sam step closer, his eyes narrowing. He whispered something to a friend, and they chuckled, glancing at Jacob. Anxiety twisted in the pit of her stomach. The excitement of the moment became fragile, like glass precariously balanced on the edge of a table. "Why don't we let Jacob take a penalty kick?" one kid suggested, trying to include him further. "Sure." Lily jumped in, hoping to shield Jacob from impending doom. "You can do it, Jacob. Show us what you've got." Jacob shuffled forward, barely meeting anyone's gaze. The laughter around him was genuine, but it felt louder and more intimidating now as he stood at the makeshift goal. The tension sizzled in the air as Sam's sarcastic remark seeped through the joyous atmosphere. "Let us see if he can kick it the right way," he called out, laughter dancing on his words like poison. The group fell into a hush, all eyes focused on Jacob. The knot in Lily's stomach tightened as she watched him pause mid-step, uncertainty flashing across his face. There it was, the moment that could either break him or bind him tighter to the group. But before she could intervene, something remarkable happened. One of the older girls stepped in front of Sam, her expression resolute. "Shut up, Sam. This isn't just a joke. It's Jacob's moment." The words hung in the air, both bold and daring, and for the briefest second, Lily felt the tension release. Then Jacob drew in a breath, lifting his chin, feeling the support around him. His heart beat loudly in his ears. Every doubt that had nagged at him began to dissolve, replaced by a flicker of determination. "I'm ready," he declared, steady in both voice and stance, surprising even himself. With a swift kick, the ball flew through the air, surprising everyone as it soared toward the net. For a heartbeat, time felt suspended. And then a cheer erupted as the ball smacked against the back of the net. Jacob's eyes widened in disbelief as laughter and applause enveloped him, drowning out any lurking negativity. "See? I told you he could do it," Lily shouted, racing to high-five him. Jacob's face lit up, and for the first time, he looked truly at home, but just as they started to celebrate, Sam couldn't let it go. It was just luck. He spat, but Lily braced herself for the fallout from Sam's bitterness. Would this joy last, or was it spiraling back into the storm? The question lingered as the game continued, every moment heavier under the weight of all that had come before. Jacob felt the warmth of the applause wash over him. For the first time in forever, he felt like he belonged. Lily grinned, her heart swelling with pride. She could see the spark igniting in Jacob's eyes, and his bashful smile was enough to light up the whole field, but then Sam's voice pierced through the celebration, darkening the joyous moment. "It was just luck," he shouted again, an edge to his tone that cut through the laughter. Lily's smile faltered, her heart sinking again. She had hoped for a reprieve, a moment when they could all just be kids, free from the weight of negativity. But Sam's taunt seemed to revive the shadows lurking in the air. She turned, ready to confront him. "What's your problem, Sam? Can't you just let him enjoy this for once?" "Just saying facts, Lily," Sam retorted, crossing his arms tighter as if to shield himself from her words. A few kids snickered, caught in his crossfire, while others looked between Sam and Jacob, unsure where to place their loyalty. Lily felt a wave of frustration surge through her. She looked at Jacob, who was still trying to outshine his doubts, but she could see the flicker of unease swirling in his eyes. Her resolve hardened, she wouldn't let Sam's bitterness tarnish this moment. "Jacob, forget what he says. You did amazing. Focus on that." Jacob nodded, but she could tell he was still fighting to hold on to that spark of confidence. It was like a candle flickering against a strong wind. Lily took a deep breath, choosing her words carefully. Hey everyone. Let us keep the fun going. How about a team celebration? Jacob just scored a fantastic goal. Let us use that energy. The other kids, sensing her positivity, agreed, cheering for Jacob. Team huddle. They called, forming a circle. Jacob stepped in, feeling the warmth radiate from their linked arms. But Sam wasn't ready to back down. You guys can cheer all you want, but he's still just a loser. He laughed harshly, and another wave of unease rippled through the group. For a moment, Lily felt the weight of his words pressing down on her. But then she looked at Jacob's face, his determination gradually overshadowing his fear. That flicker of light inside him was fueled not by Sam's poison, but by the community they were forming. Listen, Sam, she said, invigorated by a newfound confidence, we're trying to build something here. You don't have to be a part of it, but don't try to ruin it for everyone else. The other kids nodded in agreement, a subtle solidarity rising against Sam's bullying. They stood a little taller, linking their arms a bit tighter around Jacob, who couldn't help but smile through the haziness of doubt. Why don't we see you try to score a penalty kick? One of Jacob's teammates shot back, turning Sam's jab around with a playful challenge. Sam's sneer faltered just for a moment, surprised by their sudden unity. Yeah, let us see if you can do any better. Lily added, feeling emboldened by her friend's support. The air shifted, the calm before an impending storm. Sam scoffed, but some of the other children began to support the idea, their voices rallying behind Jacob and lifting the atmosphere. Maybe they wouldn't be held captive by Sam's negativity any longer. Maybe they could stand taller together, but just then, Jacob stepped forward, the flicker in his eyes glowing brighter. He turned to Sam, softly yet firmly. You don't have to be mean. You could join us instead. Lily blinked, taken aback. She hadn't expected Jacob to rise to the occasion. Her heart swelled at the kindness he showed, despite the harshness coming from Sam. But would it be enough to diffuse the tension? As Sam stood there, the beaten edges of his expression were softening. Lily held her breath, hoping for change, but still fearing the worst. Would Sam respond with anger, or was there a chance for peace? Lily's heart raced, ready to face whatever came next, the unity of her friends swirling around her like a protective shield. The park felt alive with a mix of hope and trepidation. Sam's gaze flickered from the group to Jacob, his expression difficult to read. Silence hung in the air, heavy and pulsing with anticipation. Lily could almost hear each heartbeat, the rush of adrenaline fueling the moment. This could be a turning point. All it took was one small shift. Why would I want to join you? Sam finally shot back, his words biting like the wind. But the tremor in his voice suggested a crack in his bravado. Because everyone deserves a chance to play and belong. Jacob responded, his voice steadier than he expected. You don't have to be like this. Look around. We're all having fun. Lily watched as Sam's arms began to uncross, the tension in his body wavering like a shifting tide. The laughter and excitement around them cascaded like soothing water, offering a gentle invitation to join in. The other kids were smiling, nodding in support, ready to embrace whatever wrinkles Sam would throw their way. Then, a soft voice piped up from the sidelines, Sam, you've always been part of our games. It would be great if you joined us. Molly, with her bright red boots, stepped forward, her eyes wide with sincerity. Surrounded by the warmth of solidarity, Sam hesitated. For the first time, Lily could see that he was weighing the possibility of connection against the old habits that had defined him. Fine, whatever, he finally spat out, but as he stepped toward the group, his tone was less aggressive. I'll try, but don't expect me to go easy on you. Cheers erupted from the group as if a dam had broken, cascades of laughter and joy relieving the tension. Lily wanted to cheer for Jacob too because he had faced the most daunting shadow of doubt and had shown through. The game recommenced with renewed energy. Ball flew, laughter erupted, and for once, real camaraderie blossomed. The lines that had divided them began to blur as every child took turns, encouraging one another, forgetting the worries that had dogged them moments before. With every kick, Jacob felt a sense of belonging settle into his heart. He passed to Sam, who with a newfound determination shot for the goal. It wasn't a perfect shot, but it landed closer to the net than he had dared hope. "Nice try," cheered one of the older kids, and for the first time, Sam turned to Jacob and offered an awkward smile, a timid hello from one battle-worn heart to another. Lily watched in awe. In mere hours, she had witnessed transformation take root. With each play, the spark of hope turned into a roaring flame of unity, engulfing their park in warmth. The barriers melted like snow in the sun. As the sun began to set, painting the sky in shades of pink and orange, Lily gathered everyone into a circle, including Sam and Jacob, feeling this moment should be sealed with gratitude. Today was something special. "We came together, and showed that we are stronger united," she announced, her heart glowing with pride. She glanced at Jacob. "We've all got something beautiful to share, just like cocoa to a cold day." Her words hung in the air like a gentle melody. Half the kids cheered, while Sam chimed in quietly, "Yeah. I guess it was fun." "Thanks, Jacob, for kicking like a champion." A warm round of applause rippled through the crowd. Jacob's face broke into a radiant smile, reflecting his dawning realization that he truly belonged. The wonder of community had sealed their connections with kindness, laughter, and courage. As the gathering wound down, Lily felt the weight of joy resting in her chest. They had done it. They transformed worry into laughter, concern into cooperation. Mr. Johnson, Mrs. Green, and all of the neighbors began to inch close for a group photo. Lily stood in the middle, a crown of pure happiness upon her head, surrounded by her friends, those who were once strangers, now family. Mr. Johnson put his arm around her, a proud smile tying them all together like a well-worn quilt. "This is just the beginning," he declared, and the crowd murmured in agreement, nodding vigorously as the camera clicked. In that moment, as the flash flickered and captured their exuberance, hope radiated through their hearts like sunlight piercing the frost. They had weathered the storm together, and the bright light ahead promised more warmth and unity in the days to come. It was a testament to the powerful shift from despair to hope. This miraculous day would forever be etched in the fabric of their community, the strength of togetherness, a bond no chill could sever. As their laughter rang out, Lily felt as if they had woven a new story, one that spoke to the heart of every neighbor, echoing the strength and love that would hold them tight no matter the season. And you know what, friends? You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support. Hit that like button right now and let us feed the algorithm. Comment below your feelings about this heartwarming ending. Don't wait not even one more second to share this uplifting story with at least 5 friends who need to see this powerful transformation. Let us keep spreading hope and kindness together.